Hi, I'm Michael Nadalin from Market Lead, and today's video is a chat with Cory Lindholm. A few weeks ago, Cory told me about feed-only asset groups, which I've applied to all my clients and have been getting the best results for nearly all of them as well. So I've been doing a lot of videos on this, posting about it, and I'm super enthusiastic about it. So I thought I'd have Cory back on because he's been applying with his clients and just having a bit of a discussion about the upside, but also the downside of it as well. So I'll keep this short, I'll keep it sweet. I hope you enjoy this. I know you will. Go follow Cory on LinkedIn and everywhere else online. Let's jump in.
Excellent. Cory, we are back for another chat. Well, it's not another chat. We chat all the time, mate. But I thought let's actually jump on video again because I've been talking about something a lot in the last week. And I thought, why not give the man who's given me the stage for it to come back on and give me a bit more information just from like someone who's really deep into this stuff. So
Sure.
as people should know, and if you don't, you will now. Cory is one of the best in the world at Google Ads, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinions as well. And Cory, a couple of weeks ago, informed me of like this new kind of hack, but it's a strategy now of running feed-only asset groups in Performance Max. So once, we've gone from smart shopping, which was like a godsend for a lot of e-commerce companies, well, and a lot of my clients, like it really changed their businesses. And then we got PMax, and then smart shopping started to retire. But the issue was a lot of companies that smart shopping was going well for, PMax didn't. And we're kind of stuck in this spot where, because PMax was having YouTube, all the other networks, you've had to have assets, blah, blah, blah. And it was spending money on areas that weren't delivering, but you couldn't control it. Now, a few weeks ago, Cory let me know that he was looking through or his mate was, and also you were as well, looking through the API documentation of Google and seeing that it was possible just to run a feed only with no assets. And, it's just one of those things that you just hack together and break and see if it works. And it worked for you. And then I was like, I'm going to do this. And it's worked for me. And look, I'm not going to keep chatting, but like it's worked amazingly well for a lot of my clients. But when we go into our conversation now, I'll share some of those wins, but also some of the things that aren't working from it. But yeah, Cory, like I'm going to stop talking and ask you, mate. Like, so, you discovered this or you kind of came across it. It's quite big at the moment now. It's going around actually quite a bit on LinkedIn. All the guys that we look up to, or I look up to at least, like yourself, Andrew Locke, and like other people are talking about it, like Solutions 8. It's working for a lot of people. So give me your little 2 cents on what you're seeing in it at the moment.
So much to unpack. So there is a lot. No, you're good. It's well, first off, always good to see you, my man. I love these conversations. And it feels like from the feedback I'm getting, people are loving just being a fly on the wall with these. So I'm really excited to talk to you about it. So the first thing I'll say is this is not a one-size-fits-all solution. And it works and it doesn't work, like you said. It's not always going to be the sort of solver for your Google Ads accounts. So just that disclaimer, like it is awesome. And I've seen it work wonders, especially when shopping is the only network that your advertisements can do well on from a profitability standpoint. It is a great option. Lots of cautions though. So generally speaking, when I talk to consulting clients, they've already heard about this, which is crazy. Those are the ones that are like really in the weeds. And I'm like, wow, you're like at the cutting edge here. Technically, it's been around for a few months as I look into it. I'm like, oh, okay, I thought I was so smart. But Andrew Loke was talking about this months ago, so
Mate, you are smart. You are smart. In my eyes, you're the smartest guy in the world. But I will let you keep chatting.
Gotta stay humble, right? So it's Jenny Marvin had said on Twitter, if you don't put the assets in there, it's gonna run like a standard or like a smart shopping campaign. So I'm going to give you guys a major hack that is going to let you analyze if you decide to do this. If you decide to do like a feed only campaign, this is a great way to see if it's performing the way it should. In other words, is it just showing on the shopping network? So I haven't released this to the world yet, and I got to give credit where credit is due. A UK-based agency, they're called Honcho, honchosearch.com. they reached out to me and they're like, hey, we read this article. It's an awesome article. And they're like, we found a workaround to figure out how much of PMax spend, clicks, conversions are coming from shopping ads. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is awesome. Because I thought I was the first to like figure out the YouTube spend, cost per view times your views. So what you basically do, if you set up like a feed only campaign, you go ahead and create like a report in Google Ads. And then you're going to do, the row is going to be MCID, your merchant center ID, and then layer in whatever metrics you want for your columns. And then just make sure you add a filter for your PMax campaign, the one that's the feed only. Generally what I'll see if URL expansion is off, in other words, DSA is not running on that, is like 98, 99% shopping ads. So that's all to say, you can quality assure that. But generally speaking, a feed-only PMax campaign is pretty much just going to be running shopping ads. So that's really exciting. It's really cool. However, I'm a little conflicted in that what is the point of doing a product feed-only PMax campaign versus just running a standard shopping campaign? Because at the end of the day, that's what a standard shopping campaign is. And then you could always add like a low-budget display remarketing campaign on the side. And at least with standard shopping, you'll have a ton more controls than the feed-only PMax. So just something to kind of consider, I think, business to business. You might just end up wanting to create a standard shopping campaign if you're not running another PMax campaign. So in other words, if you're running PMax, it's not doing well, you try launching a feed-only PMax campaign, and then you turn off your full build PMax. Just think about that. You might actually just be better off doing a standard shopping campaign. So you can add negatives. You can turn off search partners if you want to. You can look at the search terms and get insights that are on audiences and stuff like that. So you may be better off just doing standard shopping, but there's a lot of dependencies there. So a couple just kind of big things that I'm seeing so far, and some interesting findings thus far. But yeah, I'm curious to hear what you've been seeing with, whether you're keeping them in the same campaign, whether you're creating separate campaigns.
Mate, thank you for sharing that, because it's one of the things I'm noticing a lot is the assets in terms of what people are releasing on YouTube and everywhere is like talking about the good stuff, because, it's the new hot thing. And like, look, I'm doing that as well because that's what people keep asking me about. So I'm like, well, I do content on it. You are right to the extent, like, not to the extent, but you are right. Like with just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it. And if your business is really sensitive to this, you'd be better just having more control. Like if really having all these additional assets are killing your business, and then just stripping it back is going to make it better. It doesn't mean that it's the best. Just because it's better doesn't mean it's the best for you. Yeah, look, I am conflicted as well. But I'm simple, man. Like I'm just here to get the result. And the thing is, for all clients, some things work for some clients some of the time, not all clients, not all the time. So that's my approach to everything. And when things that usually work well for me, like my own internal best practices, when they're not working, I'll start doing things that are not best practice, and then they'll work. So there's some weird stuff that happens out there. In terms of this, most of my clients are now on Performance Max, not because I'm like some person following the trends, but I'm like, look, I do want to stay up to date and see how it works. And you've got to test this out. Clients are paying you also, not just to get the results, but to stay ahead. So for me, it's also, that's part of the consulting piece. The other thing is, for nearly all clients, it's gone significantly better, which is the hard thing, because going back to standard shopping is hard. Now, I will still, for a lot of clients, still have a standard shopping running if I start with them, just to get data and just to see the search term report, see if we need to update the feed, just all that stuff, just to get more tangible metrics. But with this feed only, the reason why I've been so excited about it is because of one reason. It works when PMax isn't working. So when clients, this is what I've noticed, when I've got clients who PMax is gone significantly better than their standard shopping or their smart shopping, PMax, when it's just gone so much better with the assets. But when it hasn't gone as well with PMax, when I've implemented this feed only like asset group in the last 2 weeks, not only is it been like the best return on ad spend, but it's like the highest revenue as well. So it's like if PMax is failing against your standard and smart, it seems like this feed only is like the way to kind of get that PMax experience without the PMax wastage.
Yep.
And look, it's weird to say, like, everyone's going to have a different opinion. My opinion is only based on my experience. So like there's got to be people with more clients than me with bigger budgets or smaller budgets that say, oh, what you're saying is bullshit or what you're saying is like gold. But all I can go off is what I'm experiencing. The clients that failed at PMax, and this is why I'm excited, that we set up PMax, it failed hard. We tried to work it. We had to go back to smart shopping, but smart shopping was retiring. I've even had clients that their smart shopping's just automatically turning into PMax. And then the asset fields or like the content fields are all just populating. I'm like, this is fucked. Sorry for my language. But this way, for one of my clients, which was probably the one that was keeping me up at night, this is what genuinely turned them around. So they went from, and I did a video on this, and the video, like I've done multiple videos, but I did a video yesterday called PMax, what to do when it's not working. And then there's another one, and I'm just talking about this client that their return on ad spend goal is 350%. So it's not like crazy high, but it's quite standard. But we were achieving that through smart shopping and standard shopping. We went over to PMax, and it just died 198% and lower, like just failed. And we tried to do everything, nothing. Had to go back to smart shopping and standard shopping. Was getting the result back up to like 330-ish, but never was getting back to that 350 that they needed. I've gone back to this PMax feed-only asset group, and this is across 5 countries for this client as well. Every country is like at 500 to 1,000% return on ad spend. But not only is the return on ad spend like 5x what it used to be, the revenue is higher than it's ever been as well. So that's why I'm excited, because it's like another lifeline when something's not working. Like, look, you and I have been doing this for years. We know what works. If we didn't know what works, like, why are people paying us? But like, I would implement stuff, it works. I would implement stuff, it doesn't work as well, I do my work. But the challenge I was having is with PMax, there was never like another thing to do when it didn't work. It was like put new assets in or like do this stuff. And it just didn't feel like you could actually have more control over it than you did. Now this feels like, okay, at least there's another thing I can do now. And that's why I feel like it's a breath of fresh air for like myself and people who watch my videos who reach out to me. It's like, finally, there's another way when it's not working for us.
Totally. So yeah, it's another lever to pull. Yeah. Or a different strategy to try, for sure. I think, you know, it opens the door for a bigger conversation around attribution and the need to not just trust, Google, but just not just trust Google's data, Google Analytics, Google Ads, and also not just trust the initial click and like the revenue and return on ad spend. Because I mean, if we're really getting sophisticated with it, if you're breaking your PMax into a feed only campaign, you need to be looking at, is that just driving a lot more return customers? Is it just kind of working as like a standard, like a limited standard shopping campaign that's doing tons of remarketing? And unless you really have those tools in place to see that, you might just be building a really restrictive remarketing campaign, which is kind of what a lot of smart shopping was, to be honest with you. It was just a big remarketing campaign, let's say 80% remarketing with a little bit of outbound. So we might just be recreating smart shopping to some degree, and there might be some more controls with standard. But I do think it begs the conversation of the importance around having something outside of Google to look to see, is this new thing that we're trying, is it actually leading to like more profits, better customers? You know, is it just, you know, is it just doing a lot of bringing old customers back to us? And is that just raising our CACs? Because if our cost per acquired customers are just going up because we're trying this, those are all things that are super important. So I think it's a whole nother conversation, but something to mention.
That's a huge one, man. Like, obviously you recommended that book, Confessions of a Pricing Man. So when you say those things, it's just coming through that filter of that book, which is amazing. The question I have, because I actually don't know the answer because I haven't tried it out yet, is with these feed-only asset groups, you can still put audience signals there. So what are your, like, have you tested audience signals on feed-only asset groups, and what have you seen? Does it still just work like smart shopping, or does that actually help that prospecting as well?
I do it because I'm not sure how Google takes it, and I don't have enough data to say whether it's made a dramatic difference, because it could be seasonality, could be the industry, could be that they're doing their email marketing campaigns more than ever before. Like, there's too many moving parts and it's too soon to say. But that's definitely one of my most active tests is if I add audience signals, is that really impacting things?
Yep.
And then the other piece is whether, like, the other major test is keeping it inside of an existing PMax that's fully built out. So you just have a feed-only asset group inside of a full PMax, or the difference between that and breaking out into its own campaign. So those are like the two big tests. I wish I had a good answer for you. So far, not enough data.
I've got a big question for you, because I was chatting to someone last night about this as well. And with PMax, like, if you segment things down in the, like, segment asset groups out in one campaign, does your data, like, is your data held on an asset group level or on a campaign level? Like, is there a benefit of having a lot of asset groups in one campaign just because the data can cross-pollinate between each? Like, do you know? Because I assume that it does. Like, the worst case is it doesn't. Every asset group is completely different, so you can silo them into millions of campaigns. But the best case is, like, holding them all in one place. Actually, they share data between them. Like, do you know if the data is shared on a campaign level, or is it just hosted on an asset group level?
I would say my estimation would be that it's on the campaign level, but that they talk to each other, only because Google doesn't give you asset group level like bidding strategies or exclusions or anything like that. It tends to just be campaign level. But there's another piece to that too, which is when you look in the Insights tab, it's going to say like search categories, and then, you know, let's say it's like your brand keyword as a search category, and then it's going to say like 14 asset groups are sharing these search categories, and then you can click into that, you can get more insights. So that kind of tells me that, though it may be, it's kind of like campaign breakouts with a conversion pixel. Like, technically you just need, you know, let's say 30, 50 conversions a month for an automated bid strategy to do a decent job. Of course, there's tons of variables there, but that's for the pixel, not per campaign. There's a lot of misunderstanding around that. We're like, oh, well, each campaign isn't getting 30 conversions a month. Well, that's not the point. Is the conversion pixel, the primary conversion action, is that getting 30 to 50 or whatever conversions per month? So I think it's kind of the same with PMax. It's more about, is the campaign getting a decent amount of conversion value, and then it's sharing those insights, just like it is with campaigns, and the segmentation's there. And then lastly would be, if you don't break them out, eventually you're going to hit that point, like we're reaching now, if you just started this in like February, of, well, how do I optimize this thing? And if you don't have segmented asset groups, then you're losing a big advantage of having asset groups in the first place. Because smart shopping is, you know, you only had one ad group and there's not much you could do with it. But at least this time we have those advantages of like audience signals and asset groups. So now we have that distinct advantage over smart shopping, where we can test assets against the initial audience signals against different products and product categories. So by breaking them out in the listing group section, which is really just the shopping performance, you have stuff to actually optimize around. Like, it's okay, this product category with this starting audience signal, these assets don't work well for this audience, or this, you know, this product category, or these specific products don't work well with these asset groups or this product category, etc. And then you can start like excluding products from certain asset groups. So it gives you something to test. Whereas if you just take Google's word for it and you just do one asset group with one campaign, you're not going to have much to work with other than just swapping on asset groups. And your copy has to be really generic. So that's another downside.
Dude, that's really, that's one thing I was actually speaking about the other day on a video, and also with a mate, is the benefit of PMax over smart shopping is smart shopping could only have one ad group, which is horrible if you wanted to do any sort of like segmentation for anything. But now the fact that you can do it in PMax, it's almost like smart shopping, but like given some of the benefits that you didn't have. So I'm a really big fan of that. And like you're saying, like now you can start segmenting down and start testing and mixing and matching like product categories, or however you split things out, and then by different audiences, which is pretty cool. But like you said, like a lot of people just do one campaign, one asset group, which I still recommend for most businesses, because the problem with too many people is they're too smart for their own good. So they start off segmenting too much. How about we just like get it in there, see what the benchmarks are after 2 to 6 weeks, compare it to your older campaigns, make sure it's ticking along well. Like, is PMax going to work? And then from there, you start segmenting out. Right. I actually did my PMax guide. I've released it months ago now, and I realized there was only 2 things that I was wrong about, but not 2 things I was wrong about. I was like, things I need to update. And I did a video the other day on it. Is one, I always recommended start off with like 1 asset group. Realistically, now you can do like 2 or 3, but this is still recommended for a lot of people who have small budgets, which at the end of the day is like most businesses. They don't have these like huge budgets to hyper segment things. So like if you're hyper segmenting, it means you're getting minimal budget or clicks, data to each asset group, and then your learning window is so much longer rather than if you had smaller and more. And the other thing was like the feed only now. So, but it's pretty cool that a lot of the best practices that I solutions that have been talking about over the last few months are still like seeming evergreen, but now it's coming to the point for a lot of us where it's like we're getting good results or we're not, but now we've got to start doing like more optimization and like segmentation from like those learnings. So because you can start to know now, does PMax work for this client or not? And if it does, well, why am I being paid? So then we go to the next stage of it. So it's pretty cool there. Look, man, I'm just conscious of the time. I know we're going to have another little chat about something else, but was there anything else you just wanted to finish up? I just wanted to keep this a short convo, like just last words about the feed-only asset groups or just PMax in general around this.
I mean, I think we covered most of it. I think that just to reiterate it, it's like, just know why you're doing the thing that you're doing, just like with anything with Google ads or marketing, like don't just do it because it's the new cool thing and like the hack that you're hearing about. Make sure that it makes understand what it does and what you're really doing. And then see if that makes sense for your business and then kind of proceed from there.
Dude, that is perfect, beautiful, and profound, just like you, mate. So thanks for this chat. And yeah, always remember, like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll put Cory's information or his LinkedIn details in the description below. Follow his stuff. It's profound. That's how I came across him. That's how we became friends. Hopefully you can become friends with him, but at least you'll learn the latest and greatest Google Ads and PMax strategies from him. So thanks again, Cory.
Thanks, brother.